Alex III of Macedonia, otherwise known by others as Alexander the Great, was born in July 356 BC in ancient Macedonia, Greece. He was the son of the great leader Phil II of Macedon, who ruled over ancient Macedonia. Our boy Alex in his youth had many talents like reading, fighting, hunting? What? I know these traits were hard to come by at that time, but come on man. Every single grade schooler you can find exhibits these exemplary traits every day during like lunch break. They can read, actually not all of them. They can fight each other over whose like dad is stronger, and they can hunt for free Robux codes on sketchy websites on the internet. Isn't that the same thing? He could also play the ancient doohickey called the lyre, which I didn't even know was a thing, and I thought it was just some ancient description of a harp, but I don't know, you do you. Alex III of Macedon, also in his youth, is known to have tamed a horse he named Bucephalus, which accompanied him through his entire life. Now that is a talent. My man's got a starter Pokemon when he turned 10, and he still used it till he killed off all the gym leaders. That's despicable. Alexander was tutored by the not so famous philosopher called Aristotle, which is quoted saying, "All warfare is based on deception." Wait, wrong Donnie. He is also known for developing a love for poetry at that time. One thing I have yet to mention about Alexander was he stood at approximately 5'3", or as at the tallest estimations, 5'6", but even some historians claim he stood at a colossal 5'0". If you think your height is holding you back in life, then no, look at our boy running his empire and an impressive winning streak throughout his life of battles, while being shorter than Kyrie. Alexander, though not so great yet he's only 15 and 5'3", served as a regent to the throne while his king, his daddy Phil II, was at war, giving him experience in managing a country. Pretty common skills to have at the age of 15. You know, I had that too. One day, Phil II was assassinated at the wedding of Cleopatra of Macedon, Alexander's sister, and our boy Alex bagged the throne following his father's passing, at the young age of 16. The next year, without even catching a break, he let the rest of the Greek peninsula catch these hands, as he initiated the Balkan campaign, taking control of the regions of Thrace and This was my man Alex III's debut conquest, which went swimmingly, allowing Macedonia to reassert control over the Balkans that rebelled against Big Pops after his passing. Now, this is really where the Mamba mentality of Alex III started to show. Alexander's advisors had recommended he use diplomacy and just being a nice guy to deal with rebellious regions, in which he said, "Hell no," and then he led 3,000 men to quote-unquote deal with the problem themselves. Alexander had it down to a T in his quelling of rebellions process. If they sued for peace, Alex would play Mr. Nice Guy and pardon all the rebels and live happily ever after. However, on the other hand, if they continued to rebel after Alexander rolled up on them, he would raze the city to the ground and divide their territory amongst his own people. Many years ago, before his death, Alex's dad, Phil II of Macedonia, had already begun a campaign against the Persian Empire. Alexander wanted to finish where Daddy left off and amassed an army of 48,000 soldiers and crossed the Hellespont in 334 BC with Persia in his front windscreen. He was able to successfully clap the forces of Persia in the Battle of Granicius and accepted their surrender of their capital. He moved along the coast and granted democracy and autonomy to the cities there. Good job, Alex. I know you will never commit any atrocities on the way. Alex III was able to soon capture enough territory to become the king of Asia, as he claimed Syria as his own, Tyre, and the coast of Levant. He quickly turned his attention towards Egypt and the city of Gaza. Alexander's forces laid siege to the city, which had his forces clamped up. His advisors warned him against the siege, but Alexander, the man he is, said, "Hell nah," again, and took the city anyway. Hold up, bro, why are these no-name NPC advisors messing with Alexander's grind, bro? There's a reason why he's called the Great, just let the guy cook. After taking the Egyptian peninsula for himself, he restored the old temples and paid tribute to the Egyptian gods while he was there. My man became a tourist after you clapped their cheeks so hard, he started praying to their gods. I know people like that, but I would not take that level of disrespect, honestly. After another lengthy campaign, Alexander ended up back in the capital Persia, which he finally took after the Battle of the Persian Gate. He entered the capital Persepolis and chilled there for 5 months, in which somehow a fire broke out and destroyed much of the city. Alexander showed regret at the damage done to the city and ordered his people to turn into the NYC Fire Brigade and fight the fire. Maybe bro wasn't such a bad guy after all. After taking the Persian Empire, Alex III began a campaign in the Indian subcontinent. He is quoted to want to reach the ends of the earth and the great outer sea, and invaded India in order to increase the size of his empire. He was actually doing pretty well for himself, especially in the Battle of Hydaspes over King Porus, but eventually turned back at the Beas River because his troops were a little homesick after having to clap subcontinental Indian sheiks for months without seeing their families. Alexander had many other campaigns on his notes app, including an invasion of Arabia, but fate would mean he would not be able to embark on those campaigns. The death of Alexander the Now Great. In June 323 BC, Alexander the Great died in Babylon, the city he wanted to establish as his capital. He was only 32 when he died, and the cause of death is still one of the greatest mysteries in ancient history to this day. Some speculate, like his daddy, he got cross-map snipes, while others say he just drank a little too much. On his deathbed, his generals asked who should inherit the great empire, in which he said, "To the strongest." Oh hell no, what? Did he really think all of his generals would be like, "Yeah nah, it's gotta be Chris," and just nicely and unanimously give their heir to some random guy? No, it was chaos. Only if Alex III didn't want some cool ass last words, which yeah, it is pretty cool. But then his empire shattered in like 2 seconds. And, to make it worse, his son, Alex IV, was born only months after his death, in which he was not aware about, which made things even worse for the political state of his empire. To be honest, I feel really bad for my boy Alex IV, as he was born in a place where everyone used him like a political bargaining tool, and he couldn't learn how to read, fight, or play the ancient doohickey in peace like his father. Alex IV and his mother were tragically assassinated when Alexander IV was only 13 or 14 years old. Following Alexander the Great's passing, his empire was divided up not so evenly between his generals, bringing an end to everything that he and his father fought for. Although he ruled for a short time, and he himself was a pretty short time, he was able to take over basically the entire observable universe at the time, which I think is not too shabby for the title of great.